All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome today. So I am Megan, obviously, and this with me is Dr. Joy Ostroff. So this is an awesome gut health doctor. And actually, she does a lot of different things, and you're going to hear more about what she does in just a moment. So I'm really grateful that she joined me today. And so this month I've been focusing quite a bit on gut health. And specifically, we're going to be kind of focusing on the connection between gut health and also mental wellness, because this is actually Mental Health Awareness Month as well. But I actually wanted to focus on that from a different perspective, because a lot of us come at it from a different, we kind of talk about it, like in basic ways, like talking about like antidepressants and all that, and maybe some other ways. But I kind of wanted to use a new, probably different perspective than most of you are used to. And so Dr. Ostroff was really gracious in agreeing to come on here today. So welcome, Dr. Ostroff. I'd love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Thank you. Hi there. I'm Dr. Diana Joy Ostroff, and this is super exciting because this is a very important topic, a topic that I had to become an expert in at a period of time after I had already completed all of my schooling in naturopathic medicine, 4 years in medical school, 6 years undergraduate studying health and psychology, thinking it was all in my head, why I wasn't well, why I was overweight, why I was depressed, why I was struggling constantly with food cravings that I couldn't control. Sweet tooth, I was so smart. I mean, 12 years of school, you get really smart. And the stuff that we studied was phenomenally interesting and important. And we learned so much physiology. And what we didn't learn was how to take care of us in such a detailed way. It is not a general thing. So there is no one recipe for everyone to follow. I had been to 12 naturopaths during medical school, or the doctors that were in training, and some that were already finished. And yes, okay, eat well, do this, do that. Well, what are you supposed to do when you crave the things you're not supposed to eat? And back then, how do you not eat sugar? How do you not crave it? How do you not crave caffeine? So that we didn't learn. That all had to come through experience. And I was very fortunate. Well, I was very unfortunate. I think Megan wants me to tell you my history. So actually...
Yes, please. I would love that.
Started at 3 months old. My mother passed away. She was in the hospital, and she had started bleeding and having some pain, and she was given medications, and apparently it was too strong, and she passed away in the hospital when I was 3 months old. And as a result, my father moved us to New Jersey, where I was raised by my grandfather, bless his heart, who came over on a boat from Russia in 1906. He didn't know very much about nutrition. He did the best he could. My grandfather they were living on a chicken farm. So he fed me whole milk and he wanted to make me happy. So then when I was still not happy because I was such a fat baby, he gave me ice cream because he wanted me to be happy. And it was so nice of him. But by the time I was 2 years old, I was in the hospital for exploratory surgery. And they didn't find anything wrong with my gut, but they took my appendix out, just by the way, while I was in there. And the reason is because there was no obstruction in my gut. My gut was unhealthy. So gut health begins very early on. And our parents, well, nowadays, the mothers are a lot more aware, and everything starts with our parents, and our grandparents raised our parents, and we can't really blame. I mean, we can, but what good would it do? I mean, when I was growing up with stomach aches every day of my life for 25 years, I didn't have anyone to talk to. We didn't talk about things back there. We went for a physical, to get a school physical once in a while, and that was it. I didn't talk to anybody. And the first meaningful conversation I had with my father was at 15. And so I just dealt with it. And I kept dealing with stomach aches for for just the longest time, which led to bloating, which led to a constant preoccupation with my weight. I'm giving you the story now because
this is good. This is all good. We want to hear this, doctor. Yeah, we want to hear this.
So bloated. I was a round kid, and even so much I wanted to be a ballerina from the time I was a baby. I had ballerina wallpaper, and I didn't know that my mother was a professional dancer. No one ever told me until I was
wow, such history. My goodness.
I wanted to be a ballerina, and I couldn't because my body was not right. I was round and I was chubby and I was preoccupied. And so was my father, preoccupied with his belly. My father once said to me, and I thought it was so sad, I was about 19, he said, "There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about how fat I am." And I felt it was so sad, but it's this preoccupation. And the reason I'm bringing it up is Megan wants to talk about mental health, and mental health goes with emotional health, and it's related to physical health, because we cannot be healthy mentally and emotionally if we're preoccupied with our physical health. So what happened is that I went through all these years. I started studying nutrition early. I was 14 and I was drinking cod liver oil, unflavored, out of a bottle. I just wanted to be healthy. I didn't know what to do. There wasn't a lot. I went on the orange, tuna, and egg white diet when I was bodybuilding and had to get buffed. I mean, I tried everything and nothing helped. And during medical school, I saw all these well-meaning, beautiful, beautiful people that were studying to be doctors, and all these doctors in training, and they couldn't help me because I was beyond help. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
And let me just hop in here for a second, Dr. Ostroff. So, because it seems that at that time, people weren't really aware, if I'm correct, about what gut health was, like the microbiome and all that.
Yes.
I don't think people were aware, were they?
People we were aware in naturopathic medicine school. And we tried everything. The problem was consistency and sticking with it, and really getting an ownership of this body of mine. And
consistency, so consistency in what way? Would you talk just a little bit more about that?
In the treatments. So one of the most difficult things for patients that I've seen over the last 30 years, they don't stick with it. People start, they come, they want help, and I get them healthy. If they're committed to getting healthy, I get them healthy. We work together. Now I have all the tools that I need. The key is sticking with it. So just a little back to my story, I'll make it brief. 30 years old, I believe I was diagnosed with a very serious disease, a fatal liver disease is what they quoted me. And that was the year I decided that I am going to finish this job and I'm going to do it until it's complete. And it took me a year. So when I work with a new patient, I want to convey, it takes about 11 months for every cell in your body, and your gut is like 75% of the most important part. We get our gut biome in the vaginal flora of the mother. Now, so having vaginal birth, and this is super important, having vaginal birthing is where the infant originally gets their beginning to their immune system in the vaginal flora, which is bacteria. And and that helps us establish our gut flora for our entire life. The second place that we get our immune system and our gut flora is mother's milk. We need mother's milk for as long as possible. So what does that mean? That means that mother's milk must be healthy. That means that mother must be healthy. Now, some people say that, well, I inherited diabetes, or I might have a family history of colon cancer or something that makes them not able to get healthy all the way. It's not that we inherit the disease. We inherit the lifestyle. So if our grandmothers ate a certain way, and culturally in Hawaii, it's especially prevalent, this is how we eat. It's difficult to change. And I know, believe me, I know. It took me 4 years I ate ice cream all the way until I was 30. You know, and I didn't go for 1 serving. I went for 4 servings. And I just had, it was challenging until I just said, okay, that's it. This is my body. I need to fix this. And then, you know, another thing that people think, and it's wonderful, I mean, steps that we can all do. Diet, eat properly for us. What does that mean? We need to continue our journey on gut health, not just from mother's milk. Then what are we going to choose? Now, people, there's so much awareness now about nutrition. And it's wonderful that so many of you are eating well. It's wonderful. But there's this diet and there's that diet. We need to know what's the right thing for us in the now. But that's not enough. We need to correct what went wrong here a long time ago. You know, in the old, well, it's a long time ago, but during the course of my being a doctor, women would come to me and say, I have bloating. We would identify that it's fungus or Candida albicans, an overgrowth of yeast in the intestines. Yeast, fungus, it's gooey, it's sticky, it attracts bacteria. And yeast are microorganisms, little fungi, and they leave their waste in our bodies, and it is in a gaseous form. Oh, bloating. So we're bloated. Why are we bloated? Because the waste products of the bugs, of which we have about 1,000 different varieties of bacteria in our intestines, the microbiome, 1,000 different varieties in such immeasurable quantities. We have at least twice as many microbiome in our bacteria in our body as we have cells. And we have at least 70 to 120 trillion cells in our bodies. We can't count to 1 trillion in a lifetime. And we have double that in bacteria. What kind of bacteria? All kinds. We have virus, we have bacteria, we have fungus, we have good and bad bacteria, 1,000 different varieties. What are they doing? They each have a function, just like each healthy cell has a function. And I'm just going to detour really quickly because this is a kind of an interesting share. Healthy cell. What does a healthy cell do? A healthy cell has 2 main responsibilities and purposes. What? Consume and eliminate, so that then they can be a functional part of the society of their body. And cancer cells, by the way, were once healthy cells that go awry. And all cancer cell can do is regenerate. It turns into an unhealthy cell for a number of reasons: free radical damage, toxemia, a lack of ability to properly detoxify the body, and that takes place in the liver. The P450 cytochrome detox pathway is one of the pathways that allow our bodies to detoxify and get rid of the toxins. So there's a lot going on with the body. And so when I say the sticking with it, when I stopped eating sugar a number of times along the way, did the yeast go away? No, I don't think so. Did the parasites go away when I stopped eating raw fish? Nope. There are so many feet that when you unfold the intestines, both the small and large intestine, there are so many flaps and folds where bacteria get trapped. They're not necessarily the good bacteria that we need for digestion, or the good bacteria that we need for assimilation or utilization of nutrients or elimination of waste. They're the ones that we don't want in there, the bacteria, the fungus, the parasites, the ones that are causing toxemia. You've heard of the word toxic gut syndrome. Most most of us, until we've adequately cleaned the colon, have toxic gut syndrome to one extent or another. And how do we know? Well, gas is putrid if it is toxic. Belching, if it is putrid, and it's kind of gross to talk about, but it's going on.
Necessary evil sometimes.
And so if our bodies function without that putrefaction, without food rotting in our gut along the way, and it's rotting because the bacterial flora is out of balance. It's rotting because the way that we're digesting is inadequate. It's not substantial enough to do the job. And that's why many people don't have energy after they eat. They get tired. We should have energy after we eat. That's the purpose. We eat energy. Our liver turns that substance into ATP, adenine triphosphate, energy. So that's why we eat. We don't eat so we can take a siesta, though in many cultures they do, and many of us would like to, I know. And so what do a lot of people do? Drink more coffee, maybe have a little nibble of sugar. One of the most important things I want to say, and I know I'm talking a lot.
It's okay. We love hearing about this. This is just what needs to be said.
So is that if we're really smart, we can't think of ourselves as like, I should be able to fix this. Because that's what I thought. I was really smart. But I couldn't fix it. So, but given, once I had this leverage of like realizing, wow, I am really sick on so many levels. I didn't want to be depressed anymore. I didn't want to be, fat and bloated and feel hormonally out of balance. I wanted to feel well. I wanted to feel happy and whole. Then it was a whole process of figuring out through careful exploration how to do that from point A to point B to all the way to point Z. And again, it took about a year for complete health. Why? That's how long it takes to kill those critters. So we need to know what are the right substances to use in what order, because if we just go about killing fungus, killing parasites, killing virus, killing random things, and our immune systems aren't strong enough to carry those wastes, you just have a killing field of dead bugs, and that's not good either. So someone might say, oh, well, I take probiotics. Well, that's amazing. What kind? Which ones? How often? How often do you change them? Are they refrigerated? Are they left open? We need all kinds, and we need the right kinds for us. So I'm so pleased to have in my office equipment and technology, cutting edge technology that is just so amazing in being able to figure out, what do you need? What do I need? That's how I got well. So by the way, back then, I was about 30. I had to travel the world to find the top doctors on this planet that focus on regenerative medicine and regenerative health and regenerative gut health, and to know how to pick the right medicine, the right remedy, the right antimicrobial at the right time. And so I have the opportunity to help my patients in a very detailed, specific way, making sure they have the right remedy. So when my patients leave the office, I can say to them, so just so you know, I don't consider your body a human test tube. I have a great deal of respect for your body. And when I give you a remedy, or a probiotic, it's gonna work, and you're gonna get a little bit healthier. And the next time I see you, if I see you in a period of time that makes sense before your body shifts too much that you no longer need that particular substance, whether it's, whatever it is to balance your health, then I can figure out what is the next course of remedy. We just move you along. So I kind of look at it as a continuation. Just move you along, because you are definitely not going to be the same in 1 month as you start out with me on the first day. It's going to be life-changing. It's going to be gradual, and it's going to be wonderful.
That sounds so exciting, Dr. Ostroff. So one thing I want to ask you, so I think this is fabulous what you're talking about, and so I appreciate that you've been sharing all these wonderful things about gut health. So with your patients that you're working with, as you move along, kind of this wellness journey and all that, and help them, step by step, just to kind of bring it back to what we were talking about with Mental Awareness Month, and kind of how, there is that link between gut health and then mental wellness. So how do you think, or I guess, how have you observed mental wellness to change with your patients as they work on their gut health and kind of heal the gut and all that?
It is so satisfying to feel safe, to feel like, I'll speak for myself, when I knew that I was healing. I remember the first naturopath I went to here in Hawaii, and bless his heart, he has passed. He used to say to me, "You're going to get better." And I would think to myself, he has no idea, because I really didn't think I could. I was really thinking I had never felt good. So, gosh, what was the question? Okay, so I was not happy. I didn't even feel like a competent naturopath in the olden days for the first 2 years. I remember sitting in the chair, and this is a real vulnerable statement, and my patients thought I was good, but I just felt like, wow, I'd look at them and I'd say to myself, how am I going to get you well? I can't even stop eating sugar. I can't even get myself well all the way. And so I was so thankful, well, not at the time, but that I had that major leverage scenario where I was told, I had someone come to my office door, and say, "Dr. Ostroff, I'm sorry to tell you, you have a fatal liver disease." And I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to see you again, and I'm going to be all healthy. And it was that moment that I made the decision. I didn't want to die, and I was willing to do whatever it took. And that's the year I just went wild. And I remember feeling, when I was 31, I took a trip with one of my friends at the time. He said, "Let's meet in Costa Rica." And by the time I had gotten, and it was right after I finished my journey, and I got to Costa Rica, and I felt like I was 10 years old. I felt so good. I was bubbly. I was energetic. I used to want to play with the kids. There were like 10-year-olds there riding horses and swimming in the ocean, the teens, from like early morning to night. That's who I was hanging out with, riding motorcycles with them. The adults were so boring. They were sitting and eating and just talking. And I was like, I want to play. I feel so good. It was a new experience. It was the coolest. And that's what I want for my patients. I just want everyone to feel good.
Mm-hmm. Well, and have you found that as you're working with your patients and as they go down their own healing journey, so, healing their own gut issues, that they also experience increase in energies, and then also say like decrease in anxiety, things like that? Do you feel that that's happening?
Absolutely. So you get healthier. And then, of course, we have to consider, we do have to check your hormones. We do have to check your neurotransmitters. We do have to make sure that everything else is working in the body, because sometimes we just have some kind of either emotional imbalance or a mental imbalance, something that can be adjusted and corrected so easily, but it needs to be identified. So holistic doctor, what does it mean? Whole body, mind, body, spirit, soul, everything is important. Every system of the body. When I create a program for a patient, I am not forgetting their brain. I'm looking at that patient and saying, by the time you're ready to sayonara, I want you to be healthy. I want you to keep working on it all until then. It needs to be healthy now, get healthy now, and then maintain it. That's why maintenance, some of my patients have been coming to me for almost 29 years, and because they want to maintain what we started, and you have to maintain, can't just fix it, got to maintain it, and got to maintain it properly, which is why I think I actually still feel good. I mean, considering that I had depression for 30 years, a couple of things kind of bother me, and I still have to process through, and every now and then I start focusing on the wrong thing, just like we all do as humans, and then I know how to bring myself better. But the difference is my body is balanced, so there's no preoccupation with health. I just need to get my thoughts in the right order at that time.
Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Ostroff. So this has been so helpful. And I hope for all of you watching this interview that you've been able to learn some things and get some ideas for your own gut health journey, just in case you feel that maybe you're feeling a little bit low or you're just not feeling good. Maybe you could use some help from this. So thank you for coming on here, Dr. Ostroff. Is there any other thoughts that you have for folks before we hop off?
Well, let me just see. I just took a couple of notes.
I know there's always so much going on in my head. Got to write things down.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I would share, I would be happy to share more as time goes on. Anytime you can call me and ask me, questions, and I'd be so happy to, so honored to help you and work with you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Ostroff. And I hope you all of you watching this, that you all enjoyed the interview. And we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.